Hello everybody and welcome back to G4G Games for Gamers. Today we are taking a look at the newest lockbox hero within Marvel Avengers Alliance. The newest heel turned goodie. That is Avalanche, aka Tampon Man, as some people call him. You know, really, they got a point. I never saw it, never thought of it until I read it, and now I can't unsee it. If you do put his arms at his side, yeah, he could probably be Tampon Man. So, let's take a brief little overview of him and discuss what he teams up with and, what helps him, who he helps, and talk about some of his downfalls. Well, here he is. He looks exactly like his boss version, and he looks exactly like the Sonic Fist weapon. His head looks like it. He has a level 1 ground Sonic, which is opportunist debuffs. A level 2 Sonic Ranged, which is a resonating, a debuff remover, and a debuff non-applicator, tampon applicator. Epicenter Quick Action, AoE Generalized, AoE Exhausted, which is huge. Huge. AoE Generalized, AoE Exhausted, and it's a quick action. My dear God, that is going to be amazing for PvP because, hey, it shuts down everybody. And it shuts down enemy agents with quick actions like Neutro, boom, your turn is done. Signpost, boom, your turn is done. Fantastic debuff. It's Havoc with a little extra on the side. It's Havoc with some generalized mayo. And then there's the big one. Consumes his stacks of seismic activity. Seismic activities! And it exploits opportunities, and it's high crits, and it only has a 1-round cooldown, which means you can't spam it within a round, but it's up the next round. Seismic activity is a stacking buff that he gains when other people use sonic or ground attacks. So, what is one of his shortfalls? Well, his shortfall is actually glaring, and that is the fact that you really can't use any of the Scrapper ISOs with him. And I'll tell you why. All the Scrapper ISOs really revolve around melee attacks. So let's go to the store, let's go to the tape, and you'll see on the instant replay over here why he has a massive shortcoming as a Scrapper. So, these are class restricted. First one, Purging. All attacks have a small chance to remove beneficial status effects. This would be a way to go, except for the fact that what everybody says it's broken and doesn't work. And it's kind of expensive at 20 gold. So, that's number one. Number two is, of course, everybody's favorite, Aggressive. Like, what Scrapper doesn't run this, unless their personal ones are fantastic? Melee attacks increase attack. Not attacks, melee attacks. We saw he's all ground and Sonic. Not going to help him. And Bruised, unarmed attacks will not consume combo setup. He doesn't do unarmed. He does ground and Sonic. So, yep, right then and there, just about every ISO for the Scrapper goes out the window. Now, Pillager, he sort of does that anyway with Resonating. If this actually worked and stacked with Resonating, that would be really, really cool. But Playdom, I think, has got to fix this. So what else are you going to do? What can we do? Well, we're going to have to go to just the regular ones. Honestly, Can't Be Stunned and Causes Stun are probably the best ways to go. Distant isn't half bad, but only one of his attacks is ranged. And I mean, I'll admit it, it's a solid one. But it's only one out of his 4 abilities. So he really is kind of shot when it comes to ISOs. I mean, look at this one, Street Fighting. Melee attacks. Soothing Rest, hit points on the rest, shield on the rest, whoop-de-doo. I think if you get him to 13, you're probably going to want to run Relentless, and you're going to probably want to run Surprising, because, I mean, look, it's only 10 command points. That's cheap as balls. So, there's that. So, who does he work well with? Well, let's go to the wiki And let's look at his ground attacks first. And we'll see, there's only one ground item that an agent can use, and this is the Sorcerous Scepter, which is magic, slashing, and ground. Very odd combination. But it was a limited edition item last summer, so until you see this again, the agent doesn't have a ground attack. You get grounds off of Cannonball, Captain Britain, Colossus, one of Doctor Doom, Servos, Luke Cage, Sandman, Thing, and Vision. Which one of these are the best? Well, unfortunately, it's two of the weakest. Colossus and Thing all can do their ground attack every single round. The rest of them have some sort of a cooldown. Captain Britain is kind of high. Cannonball's 2 rounds. Luke Cage is 2 or 3. I think he's kind of high at 3. Yeah, 3 rounds. But he has some good synergy back with Avalanche. And Vision, General Relativity, he's got 2 rounds also. So really, 2 of the weakest characters on the list, Thing and Colossus, can help him out a little bit, as they have no cooldown. But the rest of them, and like here, Sandman would be a nice little team up with him, except for the fact that it consumes his grit. And you may want to save that for the big hammer. So that's a little rough there. However, it does pressure points, and Avalanche works with opportunity, so if you have some kind of a big exploiter like the Cube, that's not too bad. Now let's look at his Sonic. What works with Sonic? Well, a farmable weapon in the Amplified Subsonic Gun, the Sonic Fist, which is of course modeled after him. There's the A, and there's the white tampon over there. I believe, can you get this from Incursions? I have a lot of Sonic Fists, so you probably have got one of these. The Hybrid Supersonic Sword, Sonic Sword, Sonic Knives, these are all from the Hybrid Spec Ops. And the Subsonic Sound Gun, which is the non-challenge mode version. And then you have Black Bolt, Hawkeye, and Hulk with the Thunderclap. Hulk is the best one over here. And the reason why is because of the fact that it's spammable. You can do it every round. However, it consumes all those Hulk ups. So, that's twitchy. Honestly, I think the best way to go is Sonic Gear on the Agent and then a ground hero. So, let's take a look at what I'm talking about over here. We're going to run a mirror match. And we're going to run Amazing Tampon Man versus Amazing Tampon Man. And if you guys ever played Clay Fighter back in the day on the Super Nintendo, how bad that announcer was when it would be 2 of the same person, because there would be no inflection change. It would be like Frosty versus Frosty. Okay, so we picked him because Luke Cage's ground pound increases with other ground attacks, which of course Avalanche does. Alright, so we're going to start off with a nice, simple smackety smack. And we're going to hit the Sonic Fist. Now, watch Avalanche carefully over here, the friendly one. Seismic Activity. That is his stacking buff. And that is, increases damage by 5%. The effect stacks up to 5 times. So it's essentially like the Scrapper ISO is built into his cottony tampon-y suit. And now we've caused Sky is Falling, so there's some debris. Now hopefully Luke Cage gets some knuckle up over here. Alright, so he gains 2 stacks of knuckle up. We've insulated it. I'm not too sure what's giving me my insulator, honestly. Oh, it's because I have my own seismic. Yeah, I'm protecting against his Sonic. Never mind, I know why. Well, Luke Cage's probably going to kill him. but we have to do ground pound. So we are looking at 2 knuckle ups. Let's just go ahead and use it. So here comes collapsing infrastructure, which is now a sort of like an internal bleeding. And you can see it's 2 stacks over there. Well, I'm just going to have my agent heal us up and rest, because we don't want to do too much more damage to him here. And we're going to have our avalanche use a ground attack on the enemy Avalancho Tampon. So there's 2 collapsing infrastructures. And seismic feedback's probably going to kill him if he AoEs us. So, okay, good. Let's see if we can see his debuff stacks now. Now remember, we left him at 2, and I did a ground attack. And that's slightly bugged over there. Deals damage. Stacks are increased by ground attacks. That was a ground attack. Let's try that again. Rest. Rest. Okay. Ground attack. He should have gone up to 3 over there. I hope that does stack properly. But there you go. There is a look at Avalanche and Luke Cage. So who is he going to team up well with? Well, I think he should team up well with any of the Sonic items. Now, I do want to point out one particular thing. In my inventory here, there is one overlooked Sonic item that isn't classified as Sonic, but still counts. And some of you long-term players may know where I'm going here. Sonic Blaster. This does count. And this is really good because much like him, it's an AoE generalized and an AoE exhausted. So if you have 2 people causing AoE exhausted and AoE generalized all the time, even if it's purged off and you're applying it right back, it's really, really solid in PvP. And you can probably run Avalanche on defense, because if it's a quick action, you know the AI is going to use it. So that may be a real douchey character to put on defense. So, his pros and cons. His pros are the fact that he causes opportunity debuffs, so he might work well with other opportunistic people. He can exploit them, so he can really, he'll work with Hank Pym, Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's ISOs, Anti-Venom, Wasp, those guys. He'll team up well with the Cube, can exploit them. So that's pretty good. The other good thing is because his attacks are ground and sonic, you don't have to worry about accuracy. So when you're ISOing him, you only need to tackle 3 things: attack, defense, and hit points. That's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about evasion. You don't have to worry about increasing his accuracy. His accuracy is already good. So if you gave him just a tiny bit, like maybe 1 ISO gave him a little bit of accuracy, enough to get him to 5 bars, boom, dump everything else in health, attack, and defense. Leave his evasion where it is, and you're good to go. So only statting for 3 stats is really nice. He's really hard to work with as a scrapper due to the fact that none of the ISOs are really going to work, but he essentially gives himself his own aggressive ISO. If you're running off of flanked or you are running off of an infiltrator, I would probably lead with Shockwave and then go with Fault Line, especially if it has the chance to cause off balance, which would be fantastic. And hey, run other things that stack his seismic up quick, like Havoc and Cosmic Energy. Run energy weapons. Just run ground stuff, or like the Hulk and Thunderclap with this guy, and just exploit that opportunity and his seismic stacks every round. And he might be pretty powerful, and I could probably see him working out well on defense, at least for Epicenter. Who knows about the other 3 abilities that he has over there. So, well, we'll see. So, hope you enjoyed this video here on G4G, Games for Gamers, for Avalanche Super A Tampon Man. I have 2 tasks left to get Cannonball, and unfortunately it means redoing Mission 2 twice. I just, barely came under the wire at 3 stars over here, so I have to do it once, get the 3rd star, and then go back and fight Bastions, the epic boss, and then I have Cannonball. So you can see I'm down to 1. So, I'm probably going to visit my allies for a day or so and hope for a good spinner, and we'll see what happens. So, take care everybody here on G4G, Games for Gamers.